To you live from above the Heineken River deck at Pier 17. That was Mike Tomlin sitting down with our Jeremy Fowler this weekend. And, you know, guys, he really doesn't seem too worried about the Browns' newest star receiver. So should the Browns be more concerned about Odell Beckham than the Steelers?
Go ahead, Ryan.
Look, man.
Should the Browns be more concerned about or worried about Odell Beckham Jr. than the Steelers? I think this is a trick question, but let me hear this. Do you have any foolishness
look,
for me?
man. It's got to be the Browns. If you're thinking about Odell Beckham, no one questions his talent, Max. No one questions his talent. But what is going to happen when something goes wrong, if he's not getting the ball, if he's double-teamed, if Baker's not making the plays that he should make? There's a lot of expectations behind the Browns this season. And the one thing we've known Odell more for this last season is not his talent, it's his talk. It's everything off the field. Every incident, whether he's kicking the goalpost, where he's making public statements, criticizing his quarterback. And hear me when I say this. I don't think Odell has said anything wrong. But when you're in a locker room, whether it be NFL, NBA, MLB, whatever it may be, once you speak out publicly, it's out there and you can't get it back. And it ultimately led to him being moved. And I understand the talent he is, but if he brings that same attitude to the Browns, he's got to show me, he's got to show everybody, he's got to show the Browns that he is a different player and those same issues won't be there.
Well, also, before we move on, Keyshawn Johnson also joining us for this segment.
There he is.
So
then let me get.
we should let the man weigh in on
Give me the darn ball.
Before Key, but I got to go before Key because Key is the football expert.
All right, you go first.
He's gonna clean up this mess. Look, this is insanity I'm hearing about Odell Beckham Jr. Like Odell, talk to his teammates. His teammates love this dude. And let me tell you something else. Eli Manning, if I ever see him in a bar, he ain't paying for a drink. He brought my Giants 2 Super Bowls with clutch plays. I love that dude. He has stunk on ice for years now. Odell, when he was on the field, was making Eli look like an NFL quarterback, kind of. Without Odell on the field, without Odell on the field, Eli's been non-NFL starter. Now, let me say this. Key, you tell me if I'm wrong. Game recognized game. Real recognized real. I don't worry about Odell on the Browns. Baker Mayfield, baller. Kareem Hunt, baller. Nick Chubb, baller. Odell is going to fit right in. He is much more of a Steelers problem. The Browns just went 7-8-1, and they added Odell Beckham freaking Jr. and Kareem Hunt. This is a problem for the AFC North, not for Cleveland.
Well, look, I love you to death, Max, but I kind of lean toward Ryan on this one. I think when you look at it, the problem in being put in that position, I've been there. I've been traded from New York to a team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In my first year in Tampa Bay, I did not light it up. I played well. I played well enough to help the team make it to the playoffs, but they were going to the playoffs regardless with me or without me because they were a good team before I arrived there. On the offensive side of the ball was a struggle. I look at it this way. If Odell Beckham has any issues with getting the football early on with the Cleveland Browns, it could be problematic because he's there. It's a lot of stress and a lot of pressure, like Ryan said, to live up to those expectations. People are looking for Odell to take the Cleveland Browns to the next level. If all of a sudden he's getting 2 or 3 passes a game and they're not winning football games, I understand they're loaded with talent. I understand that John Dorsey went out there and did a terrific job in terms of Kareem Hunts and drafting players and getting Odell and doing all of those things, making Baker Mayfield a starter. If he's not getting the football, Max, and he's not producing, trust me, it will be problematic. But to what degree, okay? He may be frustrated. He may do some of the same antics that we saw in New York, which to me isn't that big of a problem. He's motivating himself. Kicking a net, so what? He didn't kick anybody, he kicked the net. He didn't hurt anybody, he hurt a net. The net doesn't have feelings. So at the end of the day, I honestly believe it's the Cleveland Browns that have to worry about kind of managing and maintaining the expectations. The Pittsburgh Steelers and Mike Tomlin, they've seen a ton of receivers. They see A.J. Green every single year. They've seen his teammate Landry. So they certainly know what they're up against in terms of playing against elite receivers.
Guys, you got to be kidding me that if anybody's having the notion here that you don't have the responsibility as a star in the league to not just get out and produce, but be a model citizen. And I love the way
But
Odell.
he's not, you said a model citizen. What has Odell done that he's not a model citizen, right?
He ain't won nothing. He
But
ain't
that
won,
doesn't
King.
make him
Until
not a
he
model
wins, he can't
citizen,
be that.
dog. That doesn't make him not a model citizen because he hasn't won.
Listen, he hasn't won anything in the NFL yet. He's a star talent. I understand. Odell even said it. He said, I can't throw it to myself and catch it. And as a matter of fact, he
can throw it, though.
He threw a longer pass to Eli Manning. We're not
Football,
denying that.
Ryan, football is a little bit different, unlike your sport. It takes 11 guys. In basketball, we can get 1 or 2 guys, and it completely changes the landscape. In football, you have to have 22-plus guys, offense, defense, special teams, coaches. Everything has to mesh. Now, do I think the Cleveland Browns have an opportunity to do something special? Yes. But what a lot of people are missing with the Cleveland Browns is they got to understand that Kitchens, the new head coach, was the interim offensive coordinator. They scored a lot more points than when Todd Haley was there. He was running the same offense that Todd ran, but he didn't have any real responsibility. He was just trying to become his head coaching job. Now he's going to call plays, but he has to also manage the entire team. Forget the players. Focus in on what the head coach's responsibility is.
I just know he can't control that, and I don't trust if he's going to play his role. I know he can't control if they have to win a game running the ball, and defensively, he's going to play his role, Max.
Hold on. A couple of things. Number one, when you talk about what the Browns need to worry about, losing Zeitler to the Giants in that trade off the offensive line, that's something we can point to. Odell causing problems, whatever, you might point to that, but did they just get better or worse? They were giving problems to the North for the first time in a long time, and they just got better. Key, it's not just one receiver. It's Odell and Landry. It's not just one back. It's Kareem and Chubb.
Max, there's no question they're a better football team with Odell. This conversation has started because Pittsburgh and Mike Tomlin was asked a question about worrying about Odell. And I would say that the Cleveland Browns have to worry about getting a guy with high expectations, the football in his hands, and let him be productive. Because if he's not, then he's not going to be very happy. I've been there before. I've been in that position where I was traded and everybody thought, oh, my God. So what starts to happen is you become less of a player if you're not getting the football and you're not producing. People start to look at you different. All of those endorsements that he was getting in New York won't be the same in Cleveland because if he's not producing, people are going to say he's not the player that he was in New York.
What's your gut as someone who's won a Super Bowl, who's made all Pro Bowl teams and all that stuff, who's the number one draft and everything? When I look at Odell on the Browns with Baker Mayfield and these dudes, I think these are ballers. My gut says they're going to have a good time this season. What's your gut about Cleveland with Odell?
My gut tells me they're going to win about 6 or 7 games, man. That's what my gut says. But I can be wrong. I've been wrong before. The head coach scares me. He scares me. I'll say it again, Max. He was an interim offensive coordinator, okay, that did well, got an opportunity that was kicked to the head coach. Now he's over 53-plus guys, an entire organization. He has to now deal with the training staff, the strength and conditioning. He has to manage personalities on offense and defense. Is he ready for that role? In-game decision as a head coach is different than an in-game decision as a coordinator that's on an intern tag. That's all I'm saying.
Keyshawn, on a slightly different subject, but in that same interview, Tomlin said the Steelers' locker room drama was more perception than reality. I got to ask, do you believe him?
I actually do believe him because I've been inside those type of locker rooms where people assume that it's, problematic. It's a big problem. Yeah, you probably have 1 or 2 bickering players that don't like each other, but speak to that. And I'm sure Max can speak to it by being around it, that players don't all get along. All I care about is when we step on the white line and we get inside those white lines that you and I, we align with each other and we try to help each other win football games. When we go in the locker room, I'm not trying to invite you to dinner. It doesn't matter. You don't need to come to my house. Just when we're on the field, let's protect each other.
I hear you on that, but in this case, I feel a little differently because both dudes who left, Antonio Brown, Antonio makes a lot of noise, and Le'Veon Bell, both of them point to the quarterback.
But Max, I never said that the quarterback wasn't a problem. You never heard me once say that. I said that people sometimes inside the locker room don't get along. When you step on the field, that's a different story. Now, if he is on the field and he is going out of his way to not include those players in the offensive plays like it was mentioned earlier this offseason, then that's something totally different.
Absolutely.
And also, when I look at this, you can't tell me at all if Big Ben actually went over to AB and made good with him, that AB still wouldn't be a Steeler. That's a problem in the locker room, dog. That's the start problem.
AB wanted to get his money, too.
Yeah, right,
he wanted to get guaranteed money, which he got with the Raiders, and I don't know that he would have gotten it with the Steelers.
Yeah, Key, you could sing
all right, guys,
Kumbaya with AB all you want.
That is the perfect
Pay
segue
him
right
or he's
here.
out.
We just mentioned the topic of money. We're going to talk about that coming up in the next segment. Keyshawn, you're sticking with us. Dak Prescott is entering the final year of his rookie deal, and he may not give Dallas a hometown discount. So should the Cowboys show Dak the money? That is coming up next on First Take.
With advanced automotive technology available on the Nissan Rogue, you'll be equipped to help protect the moments that matter most. This is tech that gives you confidence. This is Nissan Intelligent Mobility.
My ideal cloud? It has to work like air traffic control.